talked a lot about how far you've come. We've talked a lot about how you had this crazy weight loss and then you tried a bunch of crazy and didn't lose weight anymore. And now you're back to that more consistent approach and just dialing in all these different factors. But let's talk about what has been kind of those big chapters of the journey.
So it all started, like I think I referenced, I was in my dorm room looking in the mirror, and I will show you the exact picture that I took. This picture right here was where it all started. I used to be so ashamed of this picture, but now I happily show it to people. I don't know if it's great. So that was me, my freshman year of college. I weighed like 278, 280 something. I looked in the mirror that day and I said, you know what? I am going to get on this. The way I got there was I played football in high school and I was a lineman, and my coach was like, you got to be huge and eat a lot of food. People aren't going to push you around, like keep eating food. So I used that as an excuse really for a long time to eat whatever I wanted to, when really I was eating because I was unhappy, or, you know, I was unhappy with myself, and it kind of snowballed. And then I got to college and I was like, hey, I don't need to be super overweight anymore. This doesn't help me at all. You know, like I don't have this excuse anymore to continue to eat and be unhealthy. I had a friend who was a senior at the time, or a junior at the time. His name is Sean, and he was a health and nutrition major. He was honestly was like the reason that I was able to get a lot of this knowledge so early. And it was helpful to have access to somebody like that. So I am very, very grateful that I had him to kind of be there for me, because he basically used me as like a test subject for what he was learning and what he was practicing in his classes. So he introduced me to MyFitnessPal. We kind of sat down and he kind of talked to me about what it meant to be in a caloric deficit and what it means to be consistent and like to track everything. And then he showed me some workouts and how to kind of switch it up. In college, there was this really small, crappy gym that was specifically for athletes, but I would sneak in there and work out because at like 7:30 at night, there was nobody in there, and I was ashamed to be in the gym. I didn't want to be in the main gym where all my friends were and where everybody could see me because I was embarrassed. Thinking back now, when I see somebody at the gym that looked like I did, that is, you know, maybe a little bit overweight, I'm so happy that that person's even in the gym. And that they're willing to put themselves out there and take that first step. And I just want to, you know, I want to walk up to them and give them a hug and be like, hey, congratulations. You know, it's not going to be easy, but keep at it. I was hiding in this gym. I mean, I was still doing the workouts, but I was hiding in this like dark, dingy gym because I didn't want people to see me because I was so ashamed. And it took a long time for me to build my confidence up. But I'm here to say, like, you don't need to be ashamed of wanting to be better. You know what I mean? And anybody that judges you for being there or judges you for being bigger or overweight, like they can go kick rocks, you know, like they're just bad people. Like don't care about them, like care about yourself. Take that step, take that initial jump. I started there. I would go to his house after the gym or after classes, and we would hang out and play video games or stuff. And that went on until eventually he was like my training wheels, right? And then
it's your mentorship.
Yeah. And I found somebody, and like, it doesn't have to be an in-person thing, you know, like watching your videos or like finding something or someone that resonates with you that can be that voice in your head, that can teach you how to hold yourself accountable. That's kind of the thing that I found. And then once I was able to hold myself accountable, I kind of took off the training wheels and started to really assess what worked for me and what didn't, and just kind of kept going. And it slowly started to come off. And that process went on. And then I guess the next biggest milestone was really when I decided to take a big look at like my nutrition. And it really comes back to what you were saying about like, it's a lot more simple than you think it is. Instead of being pissed off at everybody, like I hate everyone because they can eat cake and I can't. Boo hoo, I'm sad. You know, like I can eat a piece of cake. You should know, like, yes, cake is kind of high in calories, big whoop. But what you can do is like, okay, maybe I'm going to eat cake at the birthday party. Like maybe I won't eat 10 pieces of pizza along with that piece of cake. Or maybe when I go home, I'll eat something healthy to kind of balance that out. And it's all about the balance. You know, it's like, yes, you can eat cake. It's not like you can never eat anything bad ever again, but you can't go overboard You know, you got to keep yourself in check and like balance it out with like some fruits and veggies and like make it holistic, I guess, like make it balanced.
Yeah, and that's why for some people avoiding the cake is maybe progress. But for some people, eating one piece of cake and not 10 is progress. And then for some people, even allowing themselves to have a piece of cake is progress. You know, like some people need to dial in the moderation. Some people need to develop a backbone and learn to say no. And then some people need to get over themselves and say, okay, I'm going to not think about calories for one damn meal. I'm going to enjoy this. And it all just depends on like assessing the person. And, you know, since you've gone through so many chapters, you now know what you need.
A lot of the stuff that we're talking about, like the journaling or assessing your social media or how you look, blah, blah, blah. Like I didn't start all of that at once. It's taken me years to kind of get into this routine. They're very positive habits that I've gotten into. I started with one thing and made sure that I made that a habit and that I could do it appropriately and keep getting into it. And then I moved on to the next thing. And then I introduced, you know, the journaling, and then I introduced the habit tracking. And then I made sure that I had a solid foundation for something first before I just threw it all on at once, because that can make you just push everything away. So I just want to make sure that that's known, you know, like don't overwhelm yourself.
Oh, yeah. And also, don't think for a second that we adhere to this 100% of the time. It's about adhering to it at least 75% of the time, or like 80 or 90, or it's non-negotiable. Like there are certain habits that are non-negotiable, and there are certain ones that are 90% habits, but it's still adopting them slowly, one at a time, over years and years and years. Like refining that journaling process, refining what the morning routine looks like, actually establishing a meditation practice. These are all things that don't happen overnight. You're really going to shoot yourself in the foot if you wake up tomorrow and try to do 10 new habits. Huge proponent of one at a time.
Yes. And even go further, not everything works for everybody. The way that you journal is different than the way that I journaled, and is Bob, Joe, and Larry. They all journal different too. You know, it's whatever works for you, but you're not going to know what works for you unless big key thing here, trial and error. You know, like you're going to fail at things. I've tried a lot of different ways and I didn't stick to it. And then I found one that did really stick, that I did really enjoy, that I felt really resonated. And that's what I do. There's hundreds of ways that you can do it. And that might be intimidating, but just start somewhere, you know?
Yeah. Not everything works for everybody. And, you know, I used to spend way too much time in the morning, like doing this mindfulness yoga practice where I was like, I'm just going to crush meditation and yoga all in one, like 30-minute go every morning. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't have that kind of time to dedicate to this. And I was actually realizing that this was stressing me out more to like try to do this daily yoga thing. And it makes more sense for me to have like a 5-minute mobility practice that I do that's just like really specific to my body. And it just takes trial and error to learn that stuff.
And it's iteration and failure and learning and trial and error, whatever works for you. You know, it's different for everybody, to each his own or their own. To each everybody's own, whatever.
to every circle, square, and triangle zone, whatever.
Ooh,
yeah.
I like that.
We're getting geometric, baby. You know, it's all about what works for the individual.